Hey, welcome to another perspective, which is a review, if you were unsure. The Odd Gentleman and Sierra have put out another chapter of King's Quest. This one is Chapter 2. It's called A Rebel Without a Cause. Since we're talking about Chapter 2, you might want to listen to our first review of Chapter 1. It gives you a brief history of the King's Quest series, and you'll get a review on Chapter 1. So click here for that. Besides, I totally have some time to wait for you. I have some tweeps. And I will just munch on those. I just need a nice cold Coke. Not that kind of Coke! Yeah, that one. There you go. In Chapter 2, we see Graham as king, but thanks to some crazy guards and his own self-doubt, things get a bit stressful for him. He goes to see Wenty, the baker, but gets ambushed by goblins. They imprison you. The game is simple, get free. But the new king realizes that he's not the only one there. The baker, the blacksmith, the alchemist, and even the traveling merchant are all prisoners. Graham has to make the choice of who to save and who to sacrifice. Yeah, this game just got real. So the game gives you a bit of a darker taste, as you'll need to choose who to feed and who to let starve. This does include yourself, although it's really just a strength meter, and you eat to build up your strength, but it doesn't go down, whereas the other people's hearts go down, which is their food. Their hunger goes up, whereas yours doesn't, okay? Does that make sense? Cool. They get hungry, you don't. I should have just led with that. Anyway, on the way, you do help some goblins live out their fairy tale fantasies in order to get new items and to get to new locations. This chapter was much shorter for us. It may have been because we ended up making a lot of good choices, but it could have been that there just wasn't a whole lot to this chapter. The game simply imprisons you, and you escape. It's basically a prison escape chapter, but it does test your emotions by forcing you to prioritize who you value the most. Graham needs to conquer his fears and overcome his insecurities if he wants to free himself and the others, and he needs to do it before it's too late. Okay, so here is your spoiler warning. This will be up until the spoilers are done, so if you haven't checked out the game yet, you might want to do that, or you can just skip ahead until this icon is gone. Are you ready? Here we go. Like I said, Graham starts as king. In the castle, he's answering some questions to his guards about different laws and such. But when Graham gets asked two different questions at once, he answers one and inadvertently answers the other as well. This turns the situation on its head, and now Graham starts to feel insecure about himself being king, and he's comparing himself to the old king. After the ambush from the goblins, he's taken to the prison. First thing you need to do is find some light and food, then go to bed. You soon realize that the goblins have stopped giving you food. Later, two goblins will force Graham to do some of their chores, and Graham has to clean up the caves, giving you a little bit of freedom. You find Wenty and his wife. She is sick and hungry and pregnant. Going to the right, you'll find the Hobblepots, which are also hungry, and to the far left, you'll find Amaya, who, as you might have guessed it, is also hungry. After searching the caves as best you can at this moment, and cleaning up the webs, you're forced to go back to bed. Now the goblins want you to feed a giant mole rat that lives in the nearby room. Doing so will let you get into a treasure chest that it guards, finding you a chair, which allows you to get your first coin. Why are coins important in a prison game? Well, because the merchant is still selling things. You'll have to trick a guard in order to get to the merchant, but he is selling a few wares that will be useful for your trip. We first bought the antidote and gave it to Wenty's wife. This ultimately did nothing since we did not actually use the baker, and we kind of let him starve. So, whatever. The trick is to not let someone starve, but also to get your strength back. If you ask one of the prisoners how they're doing, you'll see a line of hearts. Each day, those hearts will go down. If you feed them, they'll go up. If you feed the Hobblepots like we did, they give you a book that shows you what you'll need to do in order to make a bomb. Finding these items will end up leading you to new areas in the caverns, and you will need all of your strength to get to all of the locations. The trickiest one is the rose. You'll need to stop at every pedestal of water to keep the rose from wilting. Once you have the bomb, find the goblins reenacting the scene in Cinderella, the one where they're trying to fit on the glass slipper. The slipper becomes lost, but if you grow some weeds where the shoe fell, the slipper will come up with it. Give the slipper to the goblin with the broom, and the other goblins will leave the area. Throw the bomb in the fireplace and search that area. You'll find bolt cutters, and you'll be able to free one of the prisoners and make your escape. Your goal is to speak with the Goblin King and free all of your friends. You'll need to lead the captive that you freed a short ways, but then you'll put him in your cape pocket.
In my cape!
Graham has to conquer his fear, or at least realize it, as he faces a shadow of the dragon. But it turns out to be just a baby dragon. Using it to scare the goblin guards away, you get help from one goblin that appears different from the rest. He lets down the bridge for you. In the first room of the keep, you find a book in the middle of the room that was made by Manny. It was made to trick the goblins into imprisoning the town, including King Graham. The goblins only want to live out their fairy tales, so Manny used that in order to get them to do his dirty work and get Graham out of the way. There are 2 other books that are special in this library. One shows you some goblin tricks, specifically showing a baby swap, trading out a human baby for a goblin baby. The other is a movable book that opens a secret door. The door leads to a passage which will lead you to the Goblin King. Not that Goblin King, the King Goblin, whatever. Either way. Sure, that'll work. He's holding several guards captive as entertainment, piggy entertainment, and you fight by telling him a story. Graham shows that he's learned that he's not meant to be the king that Daventry had, but to be the king that Daventry now has. Once you're in front of the king, you show him your adventurer's cap, and he'll let you and your friends free. Once again, the story outside of the game takes place with old King Graham telling this story to Gwendolyn, his granddaughter. But this time, Garth, his grandson, also is there. The story is being told during a storm. King Graham is having trouble sleeping, and Gwendolyn is afraid of the storm. By the end, Gwendolyn conquers her fears and also makes some friends with an infestation of rats. The game looks great. The use of colors are extremely appropriate, and although you're imprisoned, it's not bland or gray. It's interesting, and the caves are colorful and really cool, and they just have great scenery. The voice actors do another great job, and the emotions of the story are still top-notch. The stale part is that the story is pretty basic, and you don't really move from the area. Where A Night to Remember was fun, vibrant, and full of experiences, and really vast with where you go, A Rebel Without a Cause was very limited. There aren't many places you can go. The sense of adventure shifted from freedom to caged, and I suppose that's kind of what the point is. It sort of just felt more like an interlude for the next chapter rather than its own chapter. That's not to say it was bad, it was really, really good, but I did enjoy the first chapter much more. So, King's Quest Chapter 2, A Rebel Without a Cause, gets my perspective rating of Ode to Sweet, in between Ode to Mediocrity and Hardcore Sweet. I'm super stoked for the next chapter. I've started playing it. It's super fun already. I love it already. Anyways, it should be uploading real soon, so keep an eye out for that. In case you haven't seen Chapter 2, check out our playthrough here. I play the game with my mom as a guest, and we just experience it together and have a good time. And don't forget, there is that button there. It says subscribe, so, maybe you should subscribe. I mean, it's in red, so it's like, whoo, alert, subscribe. Plus, you get a lot of cool stuff that way, like videos and videos and stuff to watch. And that's what we do here at the show. I'm whispering. All right, yeah, that's it. That's cool. Everything's cool. I'm so pretty. La la la. I am really pretty. Ooh.